Hey everyone, what's going on? Jason Pacheco here and John beside me. Just wanted to touch base on some new news. We joined Century 21, switched from Caldwell Banker. I've been there for 6 years. Now we're over at Century 21.
Yep. Pretty pumped about the move. The team's with Century 21 now. Got a new look, new logo, some new signs. So that's good. So I think there's a lot of good stuff coming out of this move.
Yeah.
We're now working under one of the top performing groups in the state. So I think that's only going to help us, give us a bigger network, and help us serve our clients a little bit better. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think one of the main reasons for the move is for the I want to get more involved with the off-market homes investing side of things, which will end result help the clients out there that I have that are investors too and want to get involved with more off-market opportunities. And then of course we're working behind Kyle is in our office. He's one of the top agents nationwide, so that's only going to help us.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, what do you think? What do you think's going out there with the market? Do you have any market update?
Yeah, market's extremely competitive right now, mainly due to the lack of inventory, which is also being caused by the higher interest rates. So the market's competitive right now. It's tough for buyers to get an offer accepted. Pretty similar to what we've been seeing over the last year or so. But hopefully with the spring market, more inventory will come up. Rates should be coming down, we'll see in the next year or so. Whether that's a good thing or not for the buyers, we'll see, just because, if the interest rates come down, a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines might come back into the market. So it might get a little bit more competitive, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. What do you think? What are you seeing?
Yes, pretty spot on. If a house is priced accordingly, it's going to sell within the first weekend. If it's overpriced, it's not going to sell. Or if there's something weird going on with the property, maybe it's on a cesspool or something, it might take a few extra weeks to sell. Reason being is cesspool. I guess we could touch on that a little bit. There's a property for sale currently in the state of Rhode Island, and it's on a cesspool, and it hasn't sold for a little bit, and the seller's getting a little worried and exploring other options, and we got in contact with them. But cesspools are just tricky. You really have to know how to market it, and you gotta have to find the right buyer. Because want to fill everyone in a little bit on the cesspool stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider if say you're a seller and you're trying to market your property to buyers, and the house is on a cesspool. So if you're a buyer, first of all, a first-time home buyer, if you come in out the bat and you see that the house is on a cesspool, your parents are going to tell you to look elsewhere, but you'll also be concerned as well, because the rule in Rhode Island is if you buy a house that's on a cesspool, you have 1 year to get that switched over to a septic system. Now, that sounds easier said than done, but in reality, it's a big job to do, and it costs a lot of money. So depending on whether or not it's a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom septic, it could cost you anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000. And that's a big bill to pick up if you're a first-time home buyer or just a buyer in general, because you need to come up with that cash. So, there's different ways you could go about it and structure your offer. That's one way to approach it.
And a lot of people right there might think, listening, or parents or whoever, wow, we'll just have the sellers pay for it. We'll have the sellers take care of it. I want to go look at that home. It's on a cesspool, but the sellers will take care of it. Well, we're in a seller's market, and sellers aren't taking care of much of anything. It's up to the buyers to be competitive, because if you're going in on that house, more than likely some buyer out there is willing to take on the project and pay for it themselves. So buyers don't really have much room to just ask sellers to take care of it. It's a seller's market. Sellers really have a good say.
Yeah. Another thing too, if you're a buyer and you're looking to get a house that's on a cesspool, there's a lot that goes into the process as well. The transaction may not be as smooth as some others, just because you need to get the cesspool inspected. That's likely going to be a part of the requirements to get your financing. You're going to have to work out some sort of deal with the seller. I mean, although it's a seller's market, majority of the time sellers do understand that that's a big cost, and they may have already factored that into their original list price, but if they didn't, you're going to have to work out some sort of agreement with the seller, and then also make plans with the company that's going to do the job to get that done within that first year. So
Yeah, I mean, since we're on the topic of like components of a home, like a cesspool is really just an outdated sewage system. You'd want to update it to a septic system or connect it to the town sewer.
Yeah.
But you look at a house and there's a sump pump or a dehumidifier in the house. Often, my buyers or any typical buyer
Yep.
gets worried.
Yep.
Why? What
Well,
happens?
because, most people see a sump pump or a dehumidifier and they say, all right, what's wrong? Is there water in the basement? Is there some sort of leak? Like, is there a structural issue? So they'll see the sump pump or the dehumidifier and they'll think that there's a problem. But in reality, it could be a good thing depending on how you look at it, because if you have a sump pump, that means you have a proactive measure in place in that basement. And what I tell a lot of my buyers is you'll be a lot more happy if something happens that you have the sump pump than if you didn't, because at least you have a method of getting that water
Right.
out of there. And the reality is a lot of homes get water in the basement. Obviously, depending on your location and the structural integrity of the property, you can mitigate that risk. But a lot of people get water in the basement. I think as long as you have a sump pump or something that can proactively, handle it, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're out there looking at homes and there's a sump pump or a dehumidifier, don't get worried. It's just most of the time, just proactive measures.
Right.
Some other things to look out for is really when I look at a home, what I look for when I'm on the outside, I look at the roof. I look at, the gutters, making sure water's flowing away from the home properly. I'll get into the home. Typically the buyer wants to look at the kitchen first and all that stuff. But the most important stuff to me is usually in the basement. You want to look at the heating system, the hot water tank. You want to look up at if there's no drop ceilings and all the flooring and the wood is visible, make sure there's no wood rot, termite damage. Look at the electrical wire, make sure it's not really outdated wiring, like knob and tube wiring is not good.
Right.
Look at the foundation if you can see it, see if there's any cracks, evidence of water, and kind of then go upstairs and look at the beauty of the home.
The important thing is to make sure when you're looking at a home, don't just look at the kitchen and the bathroom. First thing you want to do is make sure the bones of the house are in good shape. So, what's the roof look like? How are the windows? Things that are going to cost you a lot of money when you go into an inspection period. After you make sure the house has good bones, it's in good condition, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. If things go wrong, then you can worry about the kitchen. Then you can worry about the bathroom. Then you can, see what you want to do with what room and try to imagine yourself living there. But first, make sure the property has good bones first, so that way you don't fall in love with it. And then you realize later that this house could be a headache. And then, either you go in under contract and you have to back out, or you're just heartbroken leaving the place because you fell in love with the countertops.
Now, so is there really a pass or a fail with the home inspection?
There is no pass or fail with a home inspection. Typically what's going to happen is the home inspector is going to go out there, and regardless of if the house is in great condition or not, there's going to be a bunch of items on that report. If it's a good house, you're still going to get an inspection report. It might not say that there's a bunch of costs, but the inspector will still give you their recommendations. But no, there is no pass or fail. They're just going to tell you what's a safety hazard, what needs to be replaced, on the higher priority, and then what are their recommendations of things you can do to the house to make it safer or bring it up to code. But It's never going to fail inspection. It's up to you as the buyer to take a look at that inspection report and then decide, if you want to move forward or not.
Yeah, and you said up to code. I get that a lot during an inspection or showing, someone saying, oh, that's not up to code, this is not code, that's not code. At the end of the day, no one's going to make you get anything brought up to code in the point of a transaction. You will be able to sell a house with things out of code. The bank doesn't care, the town doesn't care. So it's just a matter of acknowledging that, and if you're okay with it, moving forward.
To build on that point with up to code, I get the question a lot: if something's not up to code in the house, can you use that as a negotiation point? Like Jason said earlier, we're in a seller's market, so you're not going to be able to go into a multiple offer situation and say, I'm going to give you less in my offer because we found this part of the house that's not up to code. The seller's going to, they're just going to pick a better offer at the end of the day. It's not something that concerns them. It's more so, the buyer's preference on having a safe home.
All right, John. So, we said it a few times. It is a seller's market.
Yep.
So, we're working with buyers all the time. We're on the sell side. So we get to see offers come in ways people are being competitive. Then we can use those tools and use them with our buyers too. But that being said, if you have a buyer, what are a couple key points right away you've got to do to make your offer be competitive?
Yeah, of course, the price is important. A lot of people think the price is the only thing the seller cares about. It's important, but it's not the only thing. So, of course, you want to have a good price. You could do things with your offer, such as an escalation clause that kind of protects you as the buyer in bidding as high as you want, but, not having to go there unless you need to. There is the type of financing that you have. So conventional or FHA. Obviously, a conventional loan is going to be better or more appealing to the seller because it can ensure a smoother transaction. Obviously, if you're a cash offer, that's the best. The home inspection, so a lot of people, you see them waiving their home inspections. That's up to you if you're comfortable doing that. What we would recommend is bringing a home inspector with you to the showing if you know someone, or even someone who's just handy and they can point out a few things to you around the house. If you absolutely love it and you need it to get the deal done, that's what we would recommend. Mm-hmm. There's also being adaptable to the seller's needs. So typically, if you have an agent, they'll do this for you, but they'll just talk to the listing agent a little bit and get an understanding of, why the seller's moving and what their needs are. Sometimes they need you to close sooner. Sometimes they need you to close later. So if you can put that in your offer and you can meet those needs, that might help you stand out, when they're comparing two offers that might be the same price and have similar contingencies.
Yeah, I agree with everything. And, being on the seller side, you see a lot of agents out there just not putting their client's best foot forward. It's like, here's the client's, get an updated pre-approval letter with the date you're submitting the offer. It's showing the seller's side, here's our offer and my client is up to date and approved as of today. Don't send me an offer with the pre-approval letter from 2 months ago. That's outdated. Do you even have that job anymore when you got pre-approved 2 months ago?
Yeah. Another thing, too, is your agent should be working closely with your lender. So they should have this all squared away. But when you're placing an offer, it should have, the address of the property that you want to place an offer on, and then it should have a price point. You want the lender to update that price point based on that property. So you're not giving, say, if it's a $400,000 house, you're not giving them a pre-approval that says, hey, Jason's approved up to $425. Then the seller's immediately going to see that pre-approval letter and say, all right, Jason, why don't you come up to $425 on your offer? So you want to make sure that your pre-approval letter is updated to your offer amount. So that way, it gives you a little bit more leverage in the negotiation.
Yeah. And I think it's important to really have your agent, you got to pick an experienced agent too when you're getting these offers in. Because again, if a house is subject to seller suitable housing and you submit an offer on that home and there's nothing about suitable housing in the offer, what is your agent doing?
Right.
They have to cover all bases and get your offer as clean and squared away as possible because it's going to be shaped up compared to 3, 4, 5 other offers. I just had a listing with 9 to 10 offers on it. And, we pick the best one. We don't go back. There's no time for negotiating. It's here's the best offer. Let's move forward.
And one more thing while we're talking about financing, don't wait until you see a house on the weekend that you love to then go get pre-approved. Depending who your lender is, your lender should be working on weekends to turn out pre-approvals for you quickly. But I see a lot of people, they wait to get pre-approved until they find a house that they love on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then offers are due on Monday. And a lot of times it's just too much of a time crunch for the lender to turn out that pre-approval letter. So make sure that you're pre-approved ahead of time. So that way, when you do find that house that you love, it's just a matter of updating the requirements to that address and, base it on the taxes, and you can tailor it to that property specifically. But you want to make sure you're pre-approved first. And that way, when there is a multiple offer situation or the property that you love, you're ready to offer on it. You're not scrambling on a Sunday to try to get those things in order.
It's pretty much a layup question for you now, because I get asked it often, and I want to touch on it. It's a message on social media. Hey, Jason, I don't even know where to begin, but I'm interested in buying a home. What do I do? What is the first step?
The first step is to get in touch with the lender and get a pre-approval letter. The reason why is because the lender's going to be able to take a look at your income. They're going to look at your debts, and they're going to be able to tell you you're pre-approved up to this price range. They're going to give you the range for you, and then they're going to say this is what your payment is going to look like in this price range. So now you as a buyer can then go to your agent and say, all right, Jason, we're shopping in the $350 to $400 range. I'm more comfortable with the payment around here. Find me a house. And now you can do your job better. And now you as a buyer, you're not looking for houses that are outside of your price range, or you're not getting excited to see a house or place a bid on a house that might be out of your price range. You're making sure that you're using your time wisely, and that you're well qualified for any house that you're interested in.
Spot on, John.
And then after you're pre-approved, you can reach out to your agent and kind of give them your preference on what you're looking for. They can typically get you set up on a home search. So instead of you having to scroll Zillow and look for houses, we can proactively get you on a home search that's filtered by the Rhode Island MLS. So listings are just coming straight into your email that kind of fit the criteria you're looking for and make it a little bit easier on you to find a house.
Yeah, and stop clicking on request more info, request a tour, and Zillow. Directly contact your agent. I get calls where it's like, hey, from Zillow, someone comes in, hey, I'd like more info on this property. And I said, all right, do you have an agent working with you? Yes, but they're out of town and they're not answering. So I just want to know if I can get more information on this property. Well, I can't work with you. You have an agent already. I'm sorry. So they need to speak to their agent to speak to us. It's kind of how it works. It's very tricky. I know it's confusing, but here's just get one point of contact for all real estate matters and contact that one person. They'll be helpful.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you guys all got something out of that. If you ever have any questions, reach out to John or myself, and we'll answer your question. Have a nice day.